So we've got some people hanging out. I'm going to do one little exercise here. I'm going to try to talk through a little bit of my year in review. Do I got that tailored suit ready? It's a funny story. I did is it called Stitch Fix subscription, where you have somebody like pick you out an outfit, and I did 2 of them that I'm going to take over there. So yeah, actually, I think it was Paul Renee on Twitter today. Because Paul Vanderclay posted a video of one of his first conversations with with Jonathan Peugeot, and Paul looked a lot more scraggly and a lot less kempt. And then you look at him now; he always keeps his hair cut nice, and his beard is groomed, and he, I think he probably bought some clothes for his last ARC appearance. And it is going to be different this year because the last ARC conference was invitation only, and it was a pretty high powered group of people, and there still will be some of those people there, but it was open to the public for those that could pay for it, and it is expensive. So, and I've had some people that support the channel, encourage the channel, and people's support of the channel has actually helped make that possible. So, thank you. Yeah, so what I want to do is do a little year in review on my last year. So here it comes. I'm going to shrink down here, I think. All right, I'll just do the side. Yeah, this was my first video, this little corner of the internet and how I see it. And it's interesting as Paul is talking about the emergent church, and what that is. Like, the way I outlined this corner of the internet was as a type of church. St. Peterson the First, and then you have like the monks and the priests and the pastors and the participants and the congregants, and I kind of broke it down that way. So yeah, that was my first video, and then I went through and I did I did these 4 videos: how I found meaning, destined, and story, a story about the metaphysical substrate of reality in this little corner, the intellectual dark web, a retrospective, Jonathan Peugeot and how we're being held up by symbolic structures, and then John Vervaeke, going full logos with John Vervaeke. And right then, my first video essay about culture was actually about ARC, because it was last year. And you can see this image here that I keep pointing at. And it was like, is ARC big enough to carry the West through the meaning crisis? And then I have a picture of Redeemed Zoomer thumbnail, the Lord of the Rings, Passion Conference. And so with Paul's metagelical conversation, this has been what I've been talking about since I started my channel. How are all these things interfacing with each other in culture, with the digital realities of things actually taking place first here in the digital space and then coming out into the embodied world? It's still relatively new, and it's different, say, than things that took and taking place within the video medium, and then also now in a conversational medium. I think that is all relevant into what's been going on. I did a little self-help here, and then I talked about my experience going on Chad's podcast, Friday Morning Nameless. This is a really interesting one. This was a little essay I wrote, The Lost Art of Enchantment. I kind of went through that. Planning a liturgy for a house church. Hey, I'm going to Symbolic World Summit. So Big Evang collides with the TLC. So again, this is the metagelical conversation that Paul's started having, and this is so pointed to what I've been seeing this whole past year. So these early videos are ones that, if you've just been following my channel in the last few months, you might be interested to go back and hear some of those essays or some of the points that I've been making. And then this is a video that Jordan Hall responded to. And then right here, episode 17, I started my first podcast, and I did it with Pete from the channel Strange Theology. And I then had Kale and Jordan Hall, Justin Wells with Justin's Morning Coffee. This members only video is the one that went viral, where Jordan Peterson, where I videotaped Jordan Peterson talking to Father to Young at Symbolic World. And then I took it down because it's in my members only section. And also this tour that I did with Jonathan Bijot over here is in my membership section, which CW, shout out, is, he calls it the Bax tax. If you want to get access to all of my premium content, you have to pay the Bax tax on my memberships. Really, the way I have my membership set up, I have like the tiers, but really I can't fulfill the promises of the tiers. So I just will keep saying it's just a financial support, like 3 different tiers of financial support. And I give everybody that's in my membership section access to the membership stuff. It's just about what you might be able to give. So yeah. Back to the year. So there's Matthew Parlato. My first rando with Edge of Thought. He reached out to me after I posted that Jordan Peterson, Father DeYoung video that went viral. I got several emails from people from all over the place. I mean, it hit like 50,000 views. Zach Parsons, Brendan Graham Dempsey. That was a fun little, I stole that rando from Paul, as Teo said. Matt Krotz, Luke Thompson, Hezi, Paul Vanderclay, Gabe, he's in the chat here. Jacob Chamomile TV. He did a year in review on his channel. He invited me this a few weeks ago to have a conversation with him on his channel. James Cortides, Jordan Hall returns. Karen Wong. This is where CW and I became friends with Roy Klauser. He did a $150 super chat on Paul's live stream to support this conversation getting attention. I didn't know what the hell was going on, but it made us friends, and I'm glad to be CW's friend. I had a conversation with Grim, Lucas Voss from the Netherlands, Timothy Krell. He calls himself a Protestant monk. There's Grim. It's loading. Well, let's see here. The year in review. I did some clips. I did too many clips. I lost subscribers. There's McMosif. And yeah, there I went clip crazy. I was just trying to figure things out, you know. There's Graham Pardun, Arkansas Rando with Luke, Jeremy Firth, Ross Bird. This is where I started meeting some people on Substack, which is a great place, which I have a conversation with Bethel McGrew. She's not just a Substacker, but that's primarily where she does her work, but she's also been on Sam Tiedman's Transfigured channel a lot. Neil deGrade, Stephen Osborne, and Psy Religion with him. Food Truck Emily. And then I started doing my membership when I hit 500. And John Hears from Heavy Things Lightly. He was the host at Symbolic World. Matt Hylam. All the music that was played in that essay was from Matt Hylam's Morning Light Music, stock music. I got that from him, and all the songs that we're playing were from him. He made them all, actually, himself. He's very talented. Annie Crawford. Here was my rando with Bob, the Chinese rando. Sam Tiedman. Another conversation with Justin Wells. Aaron Van Oss from the Netherlands. Andrea with the Bangs. Longtime corner conversant. Benjamin Boyce. He's got a big channel. He goes way back with Paul and the IDW conversations. Drew's Ecology and Brantley Vossler. We had a conversation about music. We critiqued Jonathan Bijot. And Rando with Afriel. That was very salient to the corner when he got back from Northwest Estuary. Conversations with James Taylor Foreman. He's a very a very creative writer over on Substack, and he had a piece where he talked about his Christian conversion. Was really captivating. It kind of introduced me in a way to Kim Wilber's spiral dynamics, and my conversation about orthodoxy with Joseph Lambrecht. Me and Joseph have become good friends, and from that conversation, more with Graham Pardun after Northwest Estuary. Justin Wells and I did another conversation. This one with Aidan Thornberry, we did a follow up on his after Peterson talked to. After he talked again to Richard Dawkins, and he had a video that went pretty big in response to that, and I did one in my car that had some views, and I think it's this one up here. My reaction to Jordan Peterson conversation with Richard Dawkins, 1,600 views. But this conversation with Aidan, we talked interfaced about that. Really interesting. Matt Krotz. I had Matt Heilenbach. Did another conversation with Jordan. And let's see. Just keep walking through this year. I did my first Cadell last with Philosophy Portal. We're going to be doing some collaboration here in a few months. That's exciting. I visited Orthodox Church. It was really cool because there were people at the service that remembered seeing me there that made comments on that video. So that was fun. Jake Roque was my first in-person podcast, and he since started a conversation series with Lucas Voss and Emily. I can't remember her last name. She's an artist. My first rando that I fished out from my channel, I think he first commented in the corner on my channel. This was Nick Aker, and he's written a book about his journey into Christianity. Tents Before Temples, celebrating Michael Sartori's book. Rigel, Integral Theory, fished him out on Luke's live stream as a rando. Paul Antleitner, longtime corner adjacent voice, and Atheist Church Audit. So that was my year in review, things that I've been working on. So I just wanted to say that's what's going on. I've continued to schedule conversations, randos, people, corner personalities, and then reach up to other folks that are playing the professional-ish YouTube game, trying to do all the above. It's fun. And I'm going to ARC. So, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited. I'm planning is to actually try to go to the Christ and Culture conference that Paul's going to be at it in Ireland as well. It's going to take a little bit more planning and execution, but Tayo's helped me out on that. If people are still listening, I'm going to drop the link. We can talk about ARC. We can talk about the channel. We can do that for a bit. So if you're out there, you want to play, come play. Put on some music while we wait. Let's see here. If anyone's still out there, come on in. The water's fine. Let's see. Got let's see here. ARCs, if you're going, you get access to an app that is really it's really cool. It's for networking, and you can see everybody that's in attendance on there, even Jordan Peterson. And you can I don't know if you can see this, but you get access to an app, and there's like the schedules on there, the main programming. There's these evening, drinks, networking groups that they're separated by region, like European drinks reception, US, Canada, South America drinks reception, UK, Africa, young leaders. I'm not young anymore, so I can't go. It's like it caps out on 35. So yeah, I've got the link in here in the chat. Come in and see what's going on. I'm here. We can have a conversation. Let's see. Let's see here. Come on, the water's fine. I've got link open if you want to come do some live stream. I don't know if someone else has a live stream going on that I'm in the corner that I'm competing with that maybe I don't see anything live. So come on in. If you want to talk about ARC, if you want to talk about metagelicalism, if you want to talk about the emerging church stuff that Paul is doing, it's 2 suits or 2 blazers, whatever. I'm under 35. Can I sneak into the young leaders bullshit? Come on. There you go, Nick. Yeah, it was fun, dude. I tried to get mostly everybody. I missed a few. Let's see here. I'm going to pin the chat or pin the link to the live chat, and you have to do that on your phone. So that's what I'm doing right now. If it'll let me on. Oh, here he is. What's up, Teo?
What's going on, bro? How you doing?
Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, likewise. It was nice to chop it up with you. So that yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yeah, I think it was yesterday. What's
Yeah,
up?
I probably will have to go back and watch most of the stream, but I was in the voice chat over on the Broken Clock Tower, and the guys were talking about Metagelical. And by the time when I joined back on your stream, you were saying if you want to talk Metagelical, come on. So
yeah, tell them to get on here.
Oh, you do it. So yeah, the Metagelical thing. How does that relate to your arc? If you've gone through it again, sorry, but I missed most of it.
How does it relate to ARC? Let's see. I think it relates to ARC that it's the postmodern thing. There's Catholic, Orthodox, Protestants all come into this thing, and it's not explicitly Christian. Yet they'll speak and they'll be. I mean, it's kind of this, broad thing. It's kind of post all that stuff. So I don't know. That's how I kind of feel about it, and it's borrowing. A lot of the people that have come through probably have walked through some of the different things that have happened in the Christian subcultures and whatnot. I think when Jonathan Bajot gave his speech last year or 2 years ago, he had everyone raise their hand of like, if you consider yourself an atheist, raise your hand. And it was like, I don't know. He said it was a small percentage of the people that were there, So,
Okay,
go ahead.
if when Jonathan had that question, it was let's say 20% people put their hands up that were Christian, would arc still be tied to Metagelical, or would there be a different thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing Paul looks at the way I frame it is being like basically born and bred evangelical in so many ways, connecting the dots culturally with his emerging church thing to how all these things have affected people, disaffected people, and now reaffected people. I think that even the people even people that are, more curious about their, well, I mean, I think a metagelical thing is atheists and Christians having conversations that aren't polemic, that are recognizing what maybe in the polemical side of it 10, 15 years ago, they actually were having things in common. I mean, even like the conversion of Anya Hirsi Ali and that kind of thing. I think that's part of it. Is she becoming, I don't know if she's Anglican or what she went into, but is she becoming that, or is she becoming a Christian and that, So what's up, Gabe?
Not much. Just hadn't talked to you in a little while. Just thought I'd hop on and say hi and congratulations on all the videos. Up to this point, I've enjoyed following you, and I'm excited to see you go to ARC and follow you along on your experience. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Get that extra perspective, a little more insider info.
Yeah, that's kind of when I talked to some close friends about it, that was kind of what I was hoping. I kind of felt that way at Symbolic World. Even there were more corner people there, but I kind of felt like, even though I'd only been paying attention for a few months, that was what I was representing more than anything else. So, what's up, Chad?
What up, dudes? I'm building a shower pan and wanted to congratulate you.
Thanks.
And thank you for helping me along the way throughout this year.
Yeah,
A lot of fun.
you're welcome.
It's been really cool to watch you come into take shape in the way that you are. And I'm excited.
I appreciate it.
So yeah.
Yeah, this is being shaped and shaping, influencing and being influenced. I think that's all happening in this space. That's kind of
100%.
the what is it called? Opponent processing, but also the collective consciousness.
Cognition.
Yeah, distributed cognition taking place. Let's see here. Chris Howard, I may be old, but I wasn't on the ark. But you got to be a dad. You got to be a dad, because that was definitely a dad joke. So,
Dude, that guy's got a great little morning stream going.
Does he?
Yeah. He does like a word of the day, and he does like a corner report, and then like a daily reading, and then just shares like whatever random topics on his mind, and it only goes for like, from what I've seen, generally like 20 minutes or something like that. It's pretty cool, and he opens up the thing. It's cool, man.
Post the link.
Post the link. Is that what somebody said?
Just click his head.
Click his head. Right.
Anyways, is it okay if I'm here working while you're doing this?
That's totally okay, man. This is this little corner of the internet. Isn't that how it works?
Yeah.
That's how it works. Yeah, I'm just I don't know. I was trying to. I was I was working so hard on like this using these little media things, like for the live and countdown and all that stuff. I didn't actually do that great on like collecting my content. I wrote this little essay, probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago. But yeah, it's, it takes a lot of time to like try to edit that into something, and I don't think I have it right now. I was just listening to somebody else reading a Substack, and they were saying they spend a lot. They're like primarily on their Substack is kind of their project, but they were like, last year they had considered trying to do a podcast, but she said everyone that had started a podcast said that their writing suffered, and it's hard to do multiple things. I know somebody here is working on doing some new stuff as well. I don't know if they want to talk about it, but I had a conversation with somebody about it. Yeah, like, and Chad, I mean, you're squeezing it.
Oh, dude. Yeah. That whole thing, what I found is like the podcast, especially kind of in the shape that we do it, where it's like the just chatting type stuff. What I found is that it wouldn't seem like there's a lot of creative energy flowing out of there, but there is, and like it's what I found is like my artistic wells tend to want to dry up if I'm just kind of talking all the time. And so I have to kind of be cognizant of that. Otherwise, I like it, like writing creative pieces can become a slog for me.
Yeah, that's true. It's interesting to think about these things coming from like a well of energy.
Mm-hmm.
But they definitely do. That's one of the things, like in this journey this year, that Like I came on and I had so much energy and like unpacking just like the initial effects of the online space that had on me. It was like it was real easy to just shoot out like a 20-minute stream of consciousness on that stuff, and then that like there's just these waves that you get, and I've had to like recognize, there's going to be times where you're just not going to feel either motivated, or you're going to feel like you don't have anything to say, or what anything you say is stupid. Like, what am I even doing? Why am I even doing this?
Yeah.
And I know you verbalize that sometimes as well.
Yeah, it's kind of, you got, like, for me, I have to kind of not always trust it just because I don't feel like I'm connecting, that I'm not actually connecting, because like the temptation there for me is like kind of self-centered. It's like, if I'm not feeling it, then it must not be producing fruits. And it's like, well, but maybe it's not about me. Like, honestly, like, I was a little exhausted over the last couple of weeks, and I wasn't like exactly looking forward to having the rando conversation that I had a couple days ago.
Yep.
But like, it turned out to be one of the best rando conversations I've had. And like, so I have to remember that it's not all about what I feel or what I think I'm going to get out of it. And that's been one of the great takeaways out of the whole thing. It's like trying to suspend expectations to a degree, you know.
What would you say? I mean, you said Chris Howard's been doing he's been doing his own project. I haven't even seen it. I'll have to
He's
check it
real
out.
quiet on it. Very humble dude. Yeah.
But what would you give as a word of encouragement to people that are trying to like consider doing more online?
I would say if you're feeling like you have something nagging at you trying to get out, like some creative thing or a conversational piece, like for instance, like this C Money dude. I
Yep.
love listening to this guy. Like, I just absolutely love listening to him. And that's just somebody who probably doesn't feel really comfortable talking in public. It takes, so part of the thing I would say is, if you're feeling the call, uh, just jump in the water for a little bit, check it out. If it doesn't feel right, don't trust your first instincts on that, because it's a very awkward thing to do in general. So, um, and then just don't have any expectations on the outcomes of how the stuff is going to play out. That's just a bad. I would say, for me,
Yep.
what has helped me so much is trying to stay in the spirit of play, because it keeps it grounded. It's only when I forget that we're playing, seriously playing, is when I kind of trip into trouble around stuff, and then I begin to take myself too seriously. I begin
Yep.
to take other people's opinions too seriously, uh, and all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. The keeping it at play. Were you going to say something, Gabe?
No, I was just thinking about any sort of exploratory creative endeavor. You're definitely going to feel out over your skis, just out of your depth. So the trouble with that is that also precedes destructive things as well. So you kind of have to. There's an aspect of faith moving into a creative space, because the feedback, at least immediately, is can be very similar. So you kind of have to have a goal in mind to aim at. So even if you do trip up, the thing itself doesn't fall apart completely.
How would can you give like an example have you experienced that?
Oh, well, I mean, even in what I'm trying to do, like, you've seen little bits and bobs of my own effort. It's a roller coaster of, wow, this is amazing. I think I figured something out, to, oh my gosh, I'm not smart enough to figure this out. This is probably all nonsense. And so it's just that exploratory aspect. And it's been consistently the case, and it's the only reason I'm still working on it, that in the depths, I still have some structure to my goals, and I have the work that I've done before that sort of acts as a vector, pointing what I'm aiming at, even if the vision of that is not entirely crystal clear just yet. It all supports me in that moment of doubt. And then I also have, as a result of all that I've done up to that point, a collective group of potential areas of exploration. So, if I'm thinking on the creative side of things, I can move to the philosophical side. If I'm thinking on the philosophical side, I can move to the analytical or mathematical side of things. So you have these different tiers that you link together as you move up, and it provides a structure for you to kind of bounce between as you continue to build on the thing. The trouble with that, though, is the more robust your structure is, the more likely you are to continue under delusion. So there's a constant testing for me. It's like, is this something I need to be doing? Is this something that could potentially have value, or is this just a vain project of my own selfish interests? So it's just this constant battle of measuring what you're doing and looking for the value and understanding your goals and approaching it with humility constantly. And like Chad said about play, if it's fun, if you're enjoying yourself, if it's not destructive in terms of your relationships, your own personal character development, then if you can keep it in that space of play, it's the despair is less likely to creep in.
Yeah,
I heard somebody describe it as like wearing. It's kind of like the idea of wear life like a loose garment to some extent, because otherwise it could be really uncomfortable. And like to think that you're going to be successful in managing how the things should look exactly is just setting yourself up for like horror and terrible feeling. But like honestly, Christian, it's like like your intro, right, is a perfect example of this. It's like, I know it's a beautiful piece, and I know that you wanted it to be delivered in like the most beautiful and kind of way, and yet like there's some issue with the microphone isn't working, and or whatever it is, and it's like, who cares? Like, there's, like you said, I can just send you a link to the piece, and like that's the kind of attitude I think that it requires to stay sane in this arena. Otherwise, if you're like you know like a Pinocchio trying to become a real boy like I am, man, stuff I just take it too damn seriously.
Well, there's a balance. I don't know if it's the word is balance, but there is the way in which I think I liked how Gabe talked about like bouncing kind of back and forth between different frames, where I used to think that everything had like to put something out, it had to be perfect. And that's the corner has been a helpful way of deconstructing that for me into like maybe, if I wanted to, I could, but I'm not like a cinematographer, I know how to turn on a camera, and I know how to kind of write something, and I know how to put some pieces of technology together. But like, if I waited until I could really edit that into a really proper piece, like, I don't think it would get done before I went to ARC. But it's like, but it's inside of me, and I wanted to kind of share something that's meaningful. So that tension is real, and it's like, well, and I do want to play with some of these tools and like some of this, like the branding, that type of that I do, the kind of old mega church branding it's just fun to me. It's not like the church camp branding is, I'm not gonna be the next, relevant Gen Z YouTuber, but that's the other piece if I was going to add to what you're saying is like, like leaning into what makes you and what has made you, in this space.
Before Alan goes, let me just jump in front of him, because I will give you a lot of materials to make fun of, I'm probably sure. Because I want to try something. I want to try to do a performative confirmation of a critique I'm about to offer, which is that's a cope. The we're just playing thing is a cope. It's never just play. That's like a kayfabe that you tap into to coexist. So, i.e., there is a way in which there are rules of engagement to the game that we're playing, and we can sort of ignore those rules, like pretend that they're not there because we're just playing. But in actuality, those rules show their head in the form of the people we decide to play with and or not play with.
True. The playground, the playground isn't just about play. There's hierarchies all over the playground. There's kids that are better at basketball than other kids. I mean, all that's true. But it doesn't mean at the same time they're still not playing. Um, but I agree. It's not just it's that plus a lot of other things.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, it's an ideal to aim for, hopefully, and then until otherwise, it's indicated otherwise, right? But
What's
it's
the
more of an
ideal?
ideal, an attitude of serious play.
Yeah. What's up, Caleb, Nick? Did you have something corner citizen that you wanted to bring to the fore?
Yeah, honestly, jumping off of Tayo's point, but I mean, there's no such thing as oh, this is the rubric of how video should be or how writing should be, and therefore it must look like this. And the fact that we convince ourselves like a 5-paragraph essay is the ultimate form of writing is like, we have to like break out of that. And, having done comedy where there are, there technically are rubrics and like you could aim for a 1-hour comedy special. And growing up, that was sort of the apotheosis of like, it's 1 hour that you worked on diligently for years and years and years. And then you get an HBO special, you travel all across the country. It works in Milwaukee, it works in Jacksonville, Tennessee. It works in, San Diego. You're trying sort of triangulating this perfectly crafted piece of art. And then if you're really lucky, you'll get HBO Hour. And it's like, and then I watched in the like late, like sort of the late mid 2010s, just like podcasts take off like nothing else, and literally zero preparation, zero thought, zero revision. You just turn on the mics, and then comedians who've spent hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of hours crafting their perfect hour, that goes out the window. People aren't going to comedy clubs, people aren't going to stand-up shows, but everyone's listening to podcasts. So it's like, there's such a difference, and they somewhat can go hand in hand, and they're definitely talented podcasters who are also talented stand-ups. But the point of telling you all that is like, yeah, like it's much more valuable to have an impetus, to have the like fundamental, like, I feel like there's something I want to say, there's something I want to do, there's some idea I want to interact with. That's just as valuable as like, well, I'm going to format it and I'm going to hire someone off of Fiverr to edit my essay, and I'm going to hire an editor to edit the video, and I'm going to clip in the clips at the right moment, and the bio of my video is going, or the description of my video is going to have the timestamps of every video. That it's like, who cares? If you have a little thread, a little like, this is what I want to talk about, this is the seed I want to drop into the soil. It's like we have the corner so that if it is a good seed, hopefully it'll find some of that good soil and then it'll be talked about. So, just taking the barrier down, because it's funny because we've gone from like the corner used to be even less than what it is now. And now we're getting to a point where you're seeing a little shoots come out of the ground and people are like, whoa, well, now we need hierarchy and authority. It's like, dude, I remember back in the day where like PVK had like, 1,000 views was a lot on a video. It's just like, I remember the days. So like, to say that we need to like, oh, it needs to all be rubricified and it needs to be like codified. It's like, we're still in the play, in the like figuring it out, discovering the rules as we go. And not to like look down upon that and be like, oh, well, now we're being invited to art, we're one step away from Jordan Peterson. We need to be serious now. Like that's the wrong spirit and the wrong impetus, and it was not part of the corner at the beginning.
Once again, I'm gonna jump in front of this again. I don't know what Alan was talking about because I was too busy formatting what is I'm going to say next, which is to point out that there is a way in which one of the rules that's there is don't take this too seriously. And if you take this too seriously, you're I don't want to play with you. That's sort of what the play motive invoke. And one of the ways in which you can do that is, for example, the polite thing to do would have been for me to shut up and allow Nick and Caleb to speak, who haven't spoken yet. But if I was taking this seriously and think this is something that I really believe in and really care about, that I want to share, I'm going to drop politeness for the sake of um, the thing that I want to say, like Alan was sort of gesturing at. And that mode of playing is sort of seen as, I don't know about that. Now I'll leave the floor to Caleb and other people that to have the floor.
What's up, guys? Thanks, Alan.
What's up, fellas?
So, I mean, I want to say part of the thing with the play is doing things badly, even if that means doing things even if we're doing it badly because it's a good thing to do. Anything that's good, we should be trying to do to bring good into the world. I think we can get really bogged down on, this isn't the best. This isn't the best quality of product, but if it's good, it will. If it's a good seed, it will grow. Like that's something I really appreciate about you, Christian, from the beginning. Like that's what drew me there. Like I'm just out here. I'm trying to do it. I believe in this, and that really showed through for me. And that's really like the reason I hopped on is because ARC is actually the reason I started the Substack. The whole point about like going towards the good, the true, the beautiful that was echoed in that first arc. It really, I don't hear a lot of this language in our discussions. And if we're not talking about the things we're for, more of like, I'm against this, I'm against that, we're instead getting to, I'm for this. Because we might be for different things, but then when we won't have to fight about it because I'm not against you just because I'm for something else. So that was kind of my sense I wanted to put in here.
Yeah. I mean, Caleb, did you want to bring something up?
Not really. I've been kind of following along for the last couple of years and been looking for a spot to kind of jump in and just, break the fourth wall. But
hey, welcome. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, I one thing I really do appreciate about this space is that everyone has their thing, the thing that they just can't get away from and get over and haven't figured out yet. This almost like a collective in Wonderland together as we're bouncing off each other. And so that's one thing I really appreciate about it and keeps me coming back. And what I try to explain to people about the random videos I watch, my wife especially, I'm like, hey, I'm over here like a crazy man trying to explain why this is so fun. And she's like, okay, whatever, dude, move out of the way.
How long have you been paying attention, and who have you paid attention to?
So I started listening to the Bible Project before COVID, and that led me to like the Lord of Spirits, Jonathan Peugeot side, and so I found them, and then quickly found Peterson, and then found Paul's channel, and was really confused at what he was doing, and was like, I don't know what this is. This guy keeps popping up. Like I don't want to listen to a Reformed pastor, and then it wasn't probably for another 6-7 months. I was like, oh, okay, so this guy's like the person. So it's been probably a couple of years listening to Paul, and then probably a couple of years before that, I started going down the symbolic world rabbit hole.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. So, here we are, symbolic world, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
This is the Paul Vanderklay Commons right here. Actually, you're in it. So it's meta related to that. I wanted to, so welcome. If this is your first time breaking the fourth wall, dude, congratulations. And I am proud or pleased to be the vector in which that has taken place. So you fall in line in the great tradition of fourth wall breakers in this little corner of the internet. So awesome.
He did come to our estuary a couple times, but he lives
We got a buddy down here.
pretty far south. So it's been a minute since we connected.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Gabe.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, I'm in south of Dallas, and so I've got 5 kids and one on the way, and yeah, it's rough making it to estuary every week that far, and so yeah, this little corner's kind of been the extension I can kind of jump into.
Yeah, that's to start the I can only imagine the amount of hours of content you consumed related to these guys and whatnot, because I think we all have, in our different ways. So it's it's nothing to be ashamed of here. But like the beginning, the act and the art of participation and conversation related to those ideas, I think is really profound. And that's kind of what I've been, what I got on the internet to kind of do and play it. And so, it is multifaceted, because to the other parts of this conversation, I'm also like getting subscribers, and I'm also like trying to, get some eyeballs. These things are all happening. I mean, it's all happening. For me, like if you're putting forth something, and I want to, like, I guess with Alan's, like, he gave a really good, I don't know if it was critique, and I don't know exactly who or what, or if it was aimed at me or not. It was hard for me to tell, but he talked about, or you, Alan, talked about like a comedian honing and crafting something to where it was so potent that it could work in these different arenas. And then, but then there's something about the medium of like conversation and podcast, to the degree of which preparation probably is it's not near what it's like to prepare for a live comedy routine, a live musical performance. And like within the corner space, it's like to try to like jam like a really honed creative craft into this. Like, I mean, I just, it doesn't work, but there maybe are pieces, because even Alan, like you and McMo, who are like really quick witted in this space, like you still bring like essences of things that you've spent time honing and crafting that you can reach for more easily than I can, for sure. Like, and it plays a part and it plays a role in like your identity in this space. And so I think the things are all, it's not so much one or the other, but it's about how we integrate them and bring them into these spaces, and and how we kind of somehow play together within forms of conversation and process.
To kind of tie it back to the playground theme, and then to what Caleb mentioned about everybody having their thing that they sort of bring to it. It says it's kind of their own little set of ideas of how the game should be played, and we start to run into each other. And over time, structure develops. You think of the playground as just a field at the beginning, and over time, things related to the specific games that rise up out of the milieu, and start to have a form of their own that are played consistently and become repeatable. They start to, like a basketball court or a tennis court or a jungle gym, they start to develop their structures that are more permanent. And I think there's something in the idea of playing that they add to the game in a way, but there's boundaries as well. And you can, if you don't take them seriously, you can run into them. You can run into the pole that's holding up the hoop, because it's something solid that is fixed in place. Just to take the metaphor maybe a little further than I should, but that was a thought that came to mind.
Yeah, the things about something becoming more solid and more permanent, like even Paul just posted his first conversation with Jonathan Peugeot this morning. I don't know if anyone ran across that in the algo. Maybe it was in his membership. I don't recall.
No, I saw it, but I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, and I think
who's Paul?
Yeah, Paul Vanderklump. So the thing about that is like you can look at both of those guys, like, and then I mentioned this earlier, like Paul Renee on Twitter took a side by side of a recent Paul and Paul from 7 years ago, and Paul looks healthier and younger, you know, now than he did then, and so he's been transformed by this. It's affected him, and what am I trying to say is that you can look at like the way that in that conversation that even Jonathan, you know, you're using this medium, and regardless of how hard you're trying to play, if you continue to just play, you will get better or be able to use the tools available to craft things in a more, you know, I said potent about the comedy earlier, but if you continue to participate and play in something, regardless, over time, you can't help but become more skilled at that, whatever it is. And that will then translate, even if you're not playing that hard or you're not practicing as hard as somebody else is or whatever. You know, I think that's all. I think that's true.
I mean, experience always improves your acumen. You know, that's just anything you do, every time you do something, your probability of doing it again in the same way or better is improved. And how shaping works in behavior. And you know, the other thing that happens with all this is, I don't know if you saw the recent Chris Williams with Vervaeke, where he made this distinction between friendship and fellowship. I thought that was really important and reflective of what goes on in the corner. Like, one thing gone from society is fellowship, and that's what I think the corner and, you know, this, you know, virtually not alone space has allowed people is like, oh, I'm not alone and like feeling these ways. But then there's certain people within it that then are developing friendship. That's always how that happens. You always have these major aspects of fellowship where people would do shared acts together, and could connect to one another along that line. And then you'd have specific people would connect more deeply and develop other relationships with that as maybe the starting base, but not necessarily the ending base. And so like that goes into the play. You start with like, oh, we're all in the playground. Let's play a great game. We try to do it. But then, you know, a couple of you like one particular game more. So you become friends over that, your shared love of that. Maybe you start hanging out and doing more things. You just discover something else you enjoy. But it opens up this opportunity for the thing that was lost with the kind of generational breakdown, style breakdown.
Can you give us real quick what the distinction between friendship and fellowship was that Vervaeke espoused?
So he talked about fellowship, it just being something that you share under which you have a shared purpose or connection. It wasn't necessarily, he's like, that's not the same as being friends with someone. And so this is what the common one that people still have is like church attendance. This is social clubs. This used to be the way neighborhoods were run. I mean, this is if you have, say, a local restaurant or bar or coffee shop that you go to, and you start to become regular and you recognize some people, and you're not friends, but you're friendly. You have fellowship with them. If you saw someone harassing them, you'd be like, whoa, 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 you know, not because you're close, but because you have a connection to them in this way. And I think that's the thing that I now realize has been the big miss is the fellowship broke down, and then we tried to like merge the fellowship and the friendship, and that's why that felt like it didn't work out. But yeah, it gets into the spirit of play, because the shared purpose is the play on the playground, and this is just us. The virtually not alone. This little corner. This is the space. This is the playground.
That, you know, that word fellowship. You know, I will use my relationship with Chad. Like, Chad and I don't text like buddies, but I feel a strong sense of fellowship with Chad, and in the, you know, being in this space and trying to do something, I guess you could say, in this space. Like, and, but I have made friends, and not that I don't think Chad, I'm friendly, or that we're not even on some level friends. Like, but I have actually, you know, there's people I call and I talk to, and there's people that I text with regularly, and that text me, and so that, yeah, but I feel very much like I'm in fellowship with Chad, And
Oh, for sure.
and so there's that I think that's a great example. And it also brings up to mind like even the Fellowship of the Rings. And one of the things that I keep hoping for, that I even think that part of Ark and Peterson's work, like on the Gospel Seminar, and is fellowship related to when you look across the landscape and people are having arguments about things that are 1,000 years old again. It's like, can't you see that we need to have fellowship? Like, can you not see that that's actually what we need more is fellowship, in the common pursuit of something. And, Catholics, Protestants, Orthodox. So, that's kind of how I feel about that. Like there's like these scales of fellowship. There's, up and down, culture, religion, whatnot.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's what you see with Ark and with the Pearson's Gospel era, well, and biblical stuff in general. And it's really the argument I made in my book. I'm like, well, this is the thing we can share, and that won't make everyone friends, but that will give everyone fellowship. That will be, if we can have the shared locus from which to look at the world, then we can start to see some of the same things, and then we can talk about it.
What's up, McMobile?
What's up, y'all?
McMobile. What up, homie?
I came with a question for Christian and a question for Chad.
Okay.
My question to Chad is, do people in AA constantly talk about what's going on at AA?
I would say, in a sense, yes, because we're referring back to the steps often. We often like to, at least I think, talk about the history. It's good to know why. Why would AA be something important for me? Not just because it works, but like the significance of something being so kind of unique and being able to work and help and draw people together. Yes, so I think yes, we do often do that sort of thing. But we are also self-centered, so I don't know.
That's helpful answer for me. It's just been something I've been noticing more and more. It's like how often it's like when there's nothing to talk about, we just talk about what we're doing here, and people kind of give their different hypotheses of what's going on. And because the metaphor that I've always used is just basically like the internet version of the old guys at like at Hardee's in the morning. It's been like I don't think those guys were just sitting around talking about. I mean, I'm not saying they were talking about anything necessarily important, but I don't think that there was kind of this self recursion of like, we need to boundary police the booths at Hardee's. Actually, now that I say that out loud, I'm sure there is actually literal boundary policing, but then that's completely different. Maybe it's not. But my question for Christian was kind of a different question, which is, what do you make of the moniker that's continually catching on for you, which is the Joe Rogan of the corner?
I don't know. I mean,
do you agree?
Well, I mean, I'm not I'm not a comedian. I'm not that funny. But I am trying to do some version of a podcast. I'm trying to do that.
I take it to mean that you outdo most of us in being relatable, and like and you have a nice like studio setting,
Okay. Yeah, I've kind of, I mean, to me, it was like part of the whole try hard, or just the doing this thing that I would, when I would hear that, it's like he's trying to actually be something as opposed to just just play. That's how I kind of took it. But as far as the relatable aspect, I mean, that's something that's not for me. That's probably not something I could understand about myself that well.
Well, I feel a
So,
burden to let you know, because if that's true, then you're going to start getting stopped in airports, right? So you need to be on the you need to be on the ready.
well, I mean, I've put out 300 videos and have 600 subscribers, so it's not like, and that's the Mark Parker part too. Like professionalism, and this would be the pushback I'd have against Alan is, yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that's like, the TLC has helped me not be overly concerned about being professional, but there is a part of how I've operated as a quote unquote like professional musician, having to like secure dates and set up contracts and go perform at a place that is a genuine part and even something that I enjoyed. And so not abandoning that just for the sake of like trying to um engage in a certain aesthetic, but allowing that aesthetic to challenge my own, the parts of me that it would slow down or, that I don't know if I'm saying that right, but, um, so I guess, yeah, like there is a way in which like doing something like with what is the corner? The corner is not where you do professional comedy. The corner is where you hang out. Corner is not where you do professional podcasting. The corner is where you hang out. It's like, I'm kind of saying, well, why can't it be both?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I hear you speaking in terms of like professionalism and then a kind of standard for quality that you're learning to not make an idol. Like
Yeah.
that sounds kind of like what you're talking about, and I agree. Like that's kind of I've thought a lot about that, and I think we land in fairly similar places in regards to that. Like I I'm a lover of outside art. Come watch the McMo streams to see how crazy I'm willing to get. But had to throw in my ad there. Grift harder and all that. Um, but yeah, I think I like that you are trying to bring elements, and you can call it liturgy, you can call it formalities, but I think that it's ultimately like it's like a hospitality thing, and it's actually like a lot closer to Grim Grizz than it is Luke Thompson, right? It's two different types of hospitality, I guess you could say.
Yeah, there's a part about value that's embedded in there somewhere. People that do that, whose time more or less, what for whatever reason they can't, they don't or they can't invest, hours into online conversation. They're off working, building, doing their own things. But if they're going to give time to have an actual conversation with you, like allowing that, being hospitable to that time, is real as well. And yeah, so but some people want to come play like, oh, this is kind of interesting, this kind of novel, low-key thing. I want to come play, and they may be, people that are more professional might want to come do that and experience that. And I think that's real too. So I think there's just, like I said, there's places on it. And I think that they all hold great value. They're just in many ways different.
Yeah, I want to just make sure that and now I'm gonna hop off, but I just want to make sure like people aren't misunderstanding me. I'm not speaking for the whole corner, not even my perception of the whole corner as far as play goes. I'm more or less trying to share my own experience with how I must try to approach it. I think that there is a lot of room and space for people like Seabax and McMosive and Grim Grizz and Paul Vanderklay to actually do professional, take this to another level in the game. I think that's entirely good and possible. I just want to make sure that people aren't mistaking what I'm saying as like a flat absolutism, because I'm just speaking for my own sanity, I guess, and trying to encourage people who might be interested. That's all.
I think that's it's had an influence on me. Like that perspective, that's, to me, it's more of an artisanal, approach. There's like a difference between doing something creative as an artisan or as a professional, like professionally or something. Like there's different things, and it's challenged. It's challenged and helped me, because I think that there's a certain part about the profilicity conversation about just doing stuff and getting it out there that's also at play. And if I tried to edit every podcast in the way that if I look out across the podcast landscape and think, oh man, this is what it means to operate a podcast, I've got to do it this way, I would have burnt out months and months ago. And but the way that I can do it, and I do have certain tools and things that I use that maybe make it not only just Profilicity and who cares, but I don't know. Mark, what's up?
I just wanted to make sure that you don't feel the need to apologize for your professionalism. I like it. I would appreciate it. I think it's something as opposed to my channel, which looks a lot more like my garage. It's a bit of a shambles, It's little this, little that, nothing really stacked in any kind of sensible order. And I think what you're doing is awesome. And so you're really going to ARC? I haven't had a chance. I just landed. So is that what's happening?
Yeah, that is happening. Yeah, I'm going, and I'm going to try to get to that Ireland conference that Paul's doing if I can work the details with
Very
Martin
cool.
Paul and Paul Kingsnorth.
I also wouldn't put on you. I think McMo's being a little bit hyperbolic with the Joe Rogan of the corner. I wouldn't put that trip on you either. I think it's a nice compliment. But
I think Christian is much taller than Joe Rogan.
I think he's much less anxiety inducing than Rogan too. I think Christian brings a little more sense than Rogan with bouncing off of one day.
Less MMA. You need to get into mixed martial arts, Christian, to really become the Joe Rogan of the corner.
Yeah, then maybe Richard Rowland would take me more seriously.
I would say you're just you're a younger you're a millennial version of Karen Wong with and that's a good compliment too, actually, because I think you're doing great as you. So so what's the plan? How did you? Is this you're going to do like you did at the Symbolic World Conference and kind of meander around and try to? You're going to snap some cool off the bootleg video for us?
Yeah. So I will push. I mean, I will do some probably bootleg in the membership. That's for sure. I didn't have that availability last time.
Right.
But so yeah, I for sure will be doing that. I've considered buying some of those little microphones that are like little squares, little clips, and trying to do some off the cuff live stream stuff with people I run into that have like status over there. So I've thought about doing that.
So are you able to pay for this from your subscriber? I mean, are you getting enough support from folks to help you finance this, or are you pulling out of your pocket still to make this happen?
Okay, you can do the math. So my subscriptions range from like $2.99 to I think $15.99 or something like the $15.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't seem like it adds up to me. But
and I've cycled through 5 to 10 subscribers for about 6 months.
Okay.
So you can do the math. The other piece, I mean, it might pay for like that flight to Ireland from the UK or something like that. Like if you put the numbers on that, because those flights are pretty cheap. But no, I did have a supporter ask me if there was something that they could help contribute to in a significant way, and this was what I told them. So, but it was not within the membership, thing per se.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
well, that's good to know.
Yeah,
but it's helpful for people to know where you're at and what you're doing and how you're because you're just a working schmo, right? A nurse. That's what you do in your day job. So
yeah, I am a working schmo nurse. You could say that. I am a travel nurse. I've been a travel nurse for 3 years, and there was some financial gain related to like COVID and travel nursing that I did receive. I've talked about that before and different stuff, but that was helpful. So.
Oh, and one last thought with McMo. The talking or the recursive talking inward about what we talk about. What are we? What are we doing? This sort of thing. It seems like it's better talking about that than politics. the only thought I had there. So, but he's already gone. So sorry, but anyway, that's it. Good for you, Christian. I'm proud of you. Good job.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Yeah, Luke's like, I want somebody. Will somebody pay me for something? Geez, do I have to start making thumbnails? I mean, here's to take that seriously is, I mean, even around this conversation, and Luke and I actually just had a podcast. Well, it'll get released in a week or so, but we kind of talked around all this stuff. Is you like there is something to like building something and knowing that you're in with the intent to know that you are actually building it, as opposed to only just kind of reacting. I think it's both and like, oh man, so and so did this, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. Like, if there is something to like, kind of building, building something that people can kind of see, and the thing even about like it, when I came into this corner of the internet, something had been built, not with great purpose and effort of like, oh, I'm doing this thing, but like there was a culture being built, and there were things within the culture that could be identified, like randos, like something like digital hospitality, something about holding tension for different ideas that in a conversation space that I think until the last year or two was not in some ways wasn't safe to even have those conversations. So yeah, I think that I think that's part of the culture.
The thing about the talking about the TLC, I think it's completely acceptable and okay to do personally, because like I'm not congratulating myself when I do this, right? I'm actually like um giving like thanks to like what I believe is God's glory and the grace of God for us to be able to use these tools in a good way and to connect with other people. And it's always like fun, right? Like when you go to a fireworks show on the 4th of July, you're saying, wow, look at the fireworks, right? So you're talking about the fireworks. So I mean, in some sense, it's like I think it's okay, because also the like the kind of like the one of the fun parts about it for me is like the mythology portion of it that kind of happens, because there's never like just one answer as to what's happening, and so it's like this moving mythology or lore, if you will, around what's happening. And I think it's good. Sometimes it's annoying, it gets old and exhausting, but I don't know. That's my take on the thing.
It develops, though, don't you think, Chad? A little bit. I mean,
Oh yeah.
we've been doing it I've been watching this process for a year, but it seems like that it's made progress. It's not just circling a drain. It seems like it's cycling up that conversation.
Yeah. It makes progress. It's yes. Yeah.
I think one of the things that, I mean, for me, that I try to, I'm sorry if the audio was not great, if the music was too loud. I have a tendency to appreciate loud music and it doesn't distract me, but I forget that that's not everybody. So
That wasn't what was happening, actually. I think it was like a gate issue. I don't know if you have a gate on your microphone.
Yeah, there
but
is one.
something was, yeah, there was like clipping out. It was just sounding like you were talking into a sock or something at some points.
I probably was more being louder and more expressive because the music was going on and it was probably clipping. But the thing for me is like this thing is not just, I see it as a very real part of my personal journey in life, in religion, faith, like, that's related to these kind of, for me, foundational characters of the corner, that were creating the dialogue that Paul was synthesizing, and Paul was allowing the space for that conversation to take place. And it spilled into YouTube a couple of years ago with the live streaming after Discord. And so, but for me, that's I'm not only participating in this in a community, but as an individual that's on a journey as well. And so, me going to ARC as a participant and a representative of something real like this corner of the internet is true. But I'm also, for me as an individual, as a father, as a husband, as a Christian, it's a very sincere part of that journey too. So, yeah, I don't know how else to say that, but
No,
Nice.
just so you know, I think that sincerity is the thing that comes across. That's the Rogan-esque thing, like about your personality that comes off. It's you're uber sincere, and everybody can tell, and it's much appreciated. It
over
makes it more
sincere.
enjoyable.
Okay, over sincere. But that I mean, I really
He said Uber. Didn't he say Uber sincere? I guess that means
did.
over. I guess. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Right. I had a line in the essay. It said, "You may not believe we're living in this moment of rebuilding, a season of trust building, because for the cynics, that moment never actually arrives. But for the sincere believer, for those pursuing an earnest authenticity, it can. And guess what? I'm a believer." So, like I'm going to look at the story and the meta narrative, something like what Peterson's done culturally, and I believe it's true. It's not just I consumed him until he helped me for me, and now I can discard that because his new stuff and the DW Daily Wire and the Arc. That's all just that's for the normies out there. So, but I embrace certain levels of being a normie, of being pop, of being that. Be at the same time, like I realize in spaces I'm not norming. Like it's it's just these things like so I don't know.
Well, amen, brother. You're doing a great job. I want to congratulate you. Looking forward to um, all the things to come. And thank you for being my friend. And thank you for taking my call when we do talk on the phone.
I hope you didn't take that personally, Chad, that I was like, me and Chad aren't friends. We and Chad are friends. It's just I think
No. I didn't take it personally. It's fine.
Chad has people who text
I know.
more than me.
I know that you talk to Parlato way more than me. It's fine. I won't take it personally.
I caused a riff. Oh
Hey,
no,
guys.
Bye,
Good
Chad.
chat.
Yeah. Oh man.
So when's the date? I haven't looked any of this up. When are you going?
Yeah,
It's well, I'm going to leave on the 14th, and Paul's conference is on the 15th. I won't get to the UK till the 15th, but he's going to be in Ireland. So, and then ARC is the 17th through the 19th. So I'll get a chance to go to church somewhere interesting over there, and then hopefully meet some people. So
Where would you choose if you had your choice? What's an interesting church over there for you?
well, I mean, Teo mentioned Westminster Abbey or Cathedral, Westminster Cathedral. I think just even like the architecture. I've always, it's funny. I've always wanted to go to England, but I'm not gonna be there as much as a tourist. I kind of have. It's kind of a working trip. Speaking of professionalism, like that's kind of how I view it. Is like, this is it's personal, but it's also part of this trying to do this thing that is more interesting to me than being a nurse. Even though there's good things about being a nurse, like this is way more interesting in my life. So that's a part of that. So going to this thing that I also think is interesting because I mean I'll get, I don't know if I should do this, but on the ARC app, they gave us and I'll mention some of the people that are going to be there that are people I've interviewed. John Hears is going to be there. Paul, Benjamin Boyce, Rick Walker, Jordan Hall. I know Neil deGrade's going to be there. He told Paul that. So I mean, it's also that the guy who's putting on the conference that Paul's doing. He runs a channel called More Christ. He's going to be there, Marcus. And then, will I drown without the Arc app? I don't know what that means, Luke. What else? It's
was Arc app.
the Arc app. So like I'll go over the I don't know who's speaking, but there's like the civilizational moment, responsible citizen and social fabric, free enterprise and good governments, energy resources in our environment, identity in the digital age. Those are the topics. And I think it seems like they're going to do that as the liturgy every day, where, and this was interesting. The last session is called How Now Do We Live? I don't know if that rings a bell for anybody, but there was a book by Chuck Colson called How Now Should We Live? I believe that's who wrote it. Let's see if that's true.
Since y'all are connecting on the app, has anybody initiated like corner get together at some point?
There is one guy who I met at Symbolic World, but I know he likes his anonymity. He mentioned something to me related to that. And then I've talked to Paul just briefly on like a Twitter DM. Nothing. He was just like, yeah, I know Teo and Cassidy are going to be trying to get him to do some different stuff. So yeah, How Now Shall We Live? Chuck Colson. So that's what stuck out to me is the last session titled How Now Do We Live, harkened back to that title of Chuck Colson's book that I one of my youth interns tried to have us read one summer, like a little leadership group. Which I think Chuck Colson, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, is he the one that worked with Nixon and Clinton?
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Nixon, not Clinton, but Nixon.
Oh.
Well, I don't know if he had any relationship with Clinton at all, but he was part of the Watergate scandal.
Yes, and then he became a Christian.
Yeah, got saved in either in the midst of his troubles or actually in prison. I can't remember which, but yeah, I think it was during the prosecution. I don't think he was actually saved in prison, but then it's quite a story. And then he had quite a life of ministry for like 20 years after.
Yeah,
I don't know how long he lived.
I'm looking at the title or that book on Amazon, How Now Shall We Live? Gives Christians the understanding, the confidence, and the tools to confront the world's bankrupt worldviews and restore and redeem every aspect of contemporary culture, family, education, ethics, work, law, politics, science, art, music. So that honestly sounds, that last bit of the programming sounds like the description of his book, related to kind of the goals of ARC. So that's kind of interesting. So yeah,
Are you going to hang out? I'm sorry. Are you going to hang out with like PVK and do you have anybody like a team or a friend like Ty or somebody to help you navigate London? I mean, to me, that's just very intimidating. You've got work you want to do, but then just navigating a city like that would just be like challenging beyond.
Yeah, so I I was on the phone with Teo yesterday, asking him a little bit, and he was giving me some help because it's like geographical context is difficult if you're not familiar with, a place, kind of like what you're saying, and so he was giving me some context. He said if you stay anywhere in London, you're 30 minutes from the convention center because of the subway rails. I was like, oh, okay, that's good to know, and then he knew like the airports in like Ireland and stuff that if I was going to try to make that extra leap to how to do that. So I kind of told him as I was sitting there talking about, it's amazing what you can do with a supercomputer and a friend. You can do a lot. And I think that's even part of the power of everything that's happening right here as well. Cause I wouldn't have known him, until last year. So.
Have you met Elizabeth Oldfield? Is she going to this thing?
I don't think she's in the event app. I have tried to reach out to her before, but I wasn't as successful as a few other people in the corner. But
well, she at least is aware of us now, so maybe you'll get an entree.
Yeah, maybe
introduction.
I know she talked to Paul a long time ago. Well, I guess last year for sure. I don't know if she was at the first one or not. But yeah, there's on the app you can see everybody that's going. got a app, got a invitation. It's pretty cool. And then you can like do a connection. It's like its own little social media thing.
Yeah, that's how a lot of professional conferences are doing it now. They'll have their own like conference app to build in networking and all that stuff. So
professional conferences.
We need a corner app. Maybe we could. Does anybody know how to build a corner app?
It's called YouTube, Mark.
Well, what if we get taken away or kicked out or something, or it goes? That's Paul's fear. It's all going to go away. So if we had our own app, maybe that would be the future.
I think in some ways it is the future, as that, you can just tell AI to make you an app that will, and then you share it with your friends, and there you go.
Well, that one of the things that changes when technology takes over. Do we no longer have updates that make other ones obsolete? Or, I mean, that's one of the things, since we've been doing that, like all the stuff that we're doing. I mean, what happened to all your MySpace stuff? It's all going away. None of it's real. It's only the things you can hold. So we're in this like contrast between technology going to streamline everything and also that is the stuff that you cannot hold on to and you can't rely on.
What's up, Michael?
What's up? So I was coming in thinking maybe I should, if I could send a box of books with you, maybe that would be. That's probably a little bit much. Maybe I can get you some business cards to pass out or something.
Grift harder, Michael. Grift harder.
Well,
you can set up a booth, a table.
I want to try to build something that makes money that doesn't just come from internet subscriptions. Like I'm a little bit worried. I was saying to somebody, like, we're going to be like the thing that women do when they all get into those different multi-level marketing schemes, and they're all like, it's good because I'm making money, but they all just buy each other's stuff, and so no like actual money is made. It just, and we're all gonna be able to get subscribers so that we can afford to subscribe to everybody else's premium content, and that'll be the next level of the corner.
Christian needs a Squarespace sponsor.
That's
or something.
I think you just described the consumer-based economy.
I think that's. I mean, I've thought about if someone wants
to make no products.
If someone wants to make this video, it's like subscribe to this before it is all behind a paywall, like because Symbolic World, Peterson Academy. Like, it's not that that anything that they've done to this point isn't still floating around on YouTube, like their old stuff, but that has been the natural progression of, the paywall. I think he's kind of headed there as well. And I mean, even on a micro level, Paul does it, and then CW, he's been poking fun at me. He says, you got to pay the Bax tax. And, so yeah, like, I think that there's something to that. That is a natural, that is a some kind of curve into scaling. When you scale past a point, what do you do with it? You monetize it. So
but it's interesting because okay, so like, because I like, it's great, I think, PBK's is very important because it's like some people want a little bit more privacy, so that's what his paywall is doing. And a lot of other people are like, it's behind the scenes, you get to feel like the person more because you get maybe some more of their private life. But I get suspicious when it's like, subscribe for the real knowledge, the gnosis that I don't know. I guess that's just the Christian thing. Is like, you're supposed to give it, if you have the words of life, you should give them away. But it's okay to charge people for, bonus stuff. I guess.
Which is this the tent, the net or the tent making, or is this the good news? I think that's.
Well, my whole idea was like, if my idea doesn't connect to real businesses that produce real jobs and real products, then it's not really worthwhile.
I was talking about Paul, but I get the
Paul's?
your book.
Yeah.
Paul the tent maker.
Well, the book I give away to anybody who asks me for it. It's and then some people are the elect, and I just send it to them. They don't get a choice. But other people, if they ask, they can have it, and then other people can pay for it. But yeah,
I think that there's there's different ways of looking at it. It's like Paul's made like, I don't know, 2,000 videos. He's worked hard. People have benefited from it. People want an opportunity to support him. Like, I think that's worthy. I don't think there's much behind the paywall that he doesn't make public, but I think, when he was in Rome for his one of his kids' wedding last year, he did a lot of like, I think some of it was behind the membership stuff. So, what spirit is driving the action? Yeah. I think part of it has to do with really going within yourself and asking why you might ask people for money, and being able to identify that and move forward with that in a certain way with integrity. So I hope I did that. Let's see. Well, I've got a meeting coming up. Does anyone have any last things that have cropped up, or questions, or about ARC, or anything? Any last words go around?
I was wondering how now that it's open to the public, more open to the public, how are they scaling it up? Do you know?
I think that they said something like 4,000, and I think there were 1,500 people invited last year, and I think that most of them probably came. And I don't think all those people are coming back, like the Chris Williamsons and the Weinsteins, and I don't think they're all coming back. But there's a lot of, you can break down the people. You can filter the participants list by sector, like nonprofit, religious, media, podcasting. You can and it'll break down the list into, and then you can look on that list and be like, I've gotten some connection invites from people I don't know that just maybe thought that what I wrote about my podcast or my profile and picture looked interesting or something. So who knows? Or they're just looking for podcasters. So, but the scale, I think it's more than doubling. If 4,000 people buy the ticket, I don't know if they did, or I haven't counted every person in the app, so they're not numbered to me. They know. But.
Well, it sounds like they're using you and guys like you to help promote whatever it is that they're doing.
I guess I don't know if anyone else is talking about going to ARC yet on the internet. They didn't ask me to, but I.
Oh, they did. Okay, you weren't invited to buy a ticket, or it was just there. You saw it as an opportunity and grabbed it.
Peterson did They announced that there was not. It was. You could sign up to come this year.
Okay.
They announced that. So.
Well, regarding the last word with what Michael's point is, I think some of it depends on how you think or imagine or place yourself in the larger economy. Are you a ministry? I think that's one thing. I think if you're even just trying to build a community, I think paywalls are kind of killers to both. If you're more in the realm of education and / entertainment, somewhere along that spectrum, paywalls can be beneficial. So you can do a little half and half, but for the real laughs, you got to pay, if you're an entertainer. But you can get a little taste of it through YouTube or whatever. So it just depends on how you imagine yourself, where you fit into this. I think of you more as somewhere between community and education. Do you consider that accurate, Christian, or are you more oriented towards ministry still, because that's where you were originally as a worship minister.
Yeah, I would say, the modern worship thing it's very closely tied to entertainment. Like, so like, I've got LED lights in here, and even what drew my attention to like the branding I built was I think subconsciously, as I've looked at it now, I think it has something to do with Star Wars and lightsabers. But like, there's like blue lights here, and so I think that there is something, I've got computer screens and a 4K camera, and so there's parts of it that are like, I am investing to this, and if you want to invest into me as I invest into this, I am very open to that. And that became like, I'm okay if you think that this is worthy cause, whatever I'm doing, you have an opportunity to support me in that way. I'm totally open to that because of how much time I'm spending doing this. But I don't have the expectation that it's going to be whatever it is. When I say something like Peterson got the gold, Rogan got the gold, we're all like way downstream from all that because they took massive risks to do what they've done. And is there some risk in this? Yeah, but it's not to that extent. And so I used to, feel so weird about the money stuff. I mean, going to do conferences as a worship leader, like I didn't like talking about it. And I finally found a way towards the end. I was like, I just put up my website, and on it was like, if you want one event, it's this much. If you want a 3-night event or 2 nights, it's this much. 3 nights, it's this much. And you just can pick. And then it just comes to me in an email, but so that's all, but as far as like the identity of a ministry, like I am a Christian. I am not officially doing ministry in the sense of like as a pastor. But that is a big part of my history and my identity in that way. And I'm interested in trying to understand myself better, understand certain things that happen to me as a Christian better through the people that have influenced things that help me understand some of those things better. And having those conversations. And there's like a kindred nature when someone else was impacted in a similar way. Even like the young man that entered here earlier for the first time, broke the fourth wall. Y'all help me with his name.
Caleb.
What was it?
Caleb.
Tim? Caleb. Like he outlined, like I went Peugeot, Peterson, PVK, like, and like, wow, I get to be a part of him, like furthering this conversation, and all those things happened here, wherever here is in this space. So, that's what it's about. Anybody else?
No, just thank you for the opportunity to, continue to engage. Appreciate it. I've got to get back to work myself. Have a good day.
Yeah. Y'all go check out my conversation with Nick. You can look it up, Nick Aker. It was really cool. Y'all go check that out.
Thanks, Christian.
Thanks, Christian.
Yeah, guys.
Good to chat with you.
You too, man. Well,
Yep.
Michael, do you have anything? We're closing down.
Well, I do need to grift hard. I don't know if anybody caught it at the other end of the other stream, but I just found out baby number 4 is coming this year. So, I recorded a new promotion for my tectonic school project I'm trying to get off the ground. I'm going to put that out. So share it, if, because I don't want to build an online brand. I want to build a real thing that helps people in real life, but I have no idea how to do that. So I'm just trying to get big enough to meet the people that can help me with that, really. So
Well, congratulations.
Gabriel can help me in real life.
Congratulations. Yeah, y'all go look at Michael's channel, Tectonic School, Michael Sartori's YouTube, and his book, Tents Before Temples. Yeah, awesome.
Yes.
Well,
all right.
See you, Mike. And Gabe, was there something else you were wanting to add real quick? You almost
No, I
went
was
out.
just listening to Michael because I heard him mention they were had another kid on the way. So
awesome, man. Well, I'm gonna shut this thing down. Thanks for hanging out today, Gabe. All right, everybody. So there's a StreamYard. So Wing and Grift at the end of the year, StreamYard is almost doubled in price. If you're interested in doing this stuff, I saw today that 3 people have used my StreamYard link to sign up for their own StreamYard account. And so I get I think it's a $25 credit. So if you're interested in doing this kind of stuff on YouTube with StreamYard, you can follow my link that's in the description, and I think it gives me like a $25 credit for my StreamYard subscription. And yeah, and if you want to be a channel member for ARC, I will be asking for the back tax on some of the stuff on the front end, which is will be just like cell phone footage and a few thoughts, like a quick thoughts here and there. And I just saw that YouTube released members only shorts, so that might be the avenue that I use to quickly get stuff out to do that. And so, yeah, check out membership. I don't have the link in the description, but you can find it, or sometimes it asks you if you want to be a member. Any little bit helps. Reinvest into this, doing this stuff. Like I said, StreamYard's expensive. I'm going on an expensive trip. And so if you think it's a worthy cause, you're welcome to join me in that. Thanks for everybody hanging out in the chat today, in the hive mind, and to Caleb for coming on and breaking that fourth wall, tear down that fourth wall. So welcome to the corner, Caleb. Glad you came out of the lurk today. With that, guys, I am going to find my little some branding here, and everyone have a good day.